And we are live here on Collider Podcast. This is the Schmoedown Rundown, a special, spectacular edition of the show. Brad Gilmore here with Frank Janisch. I was told we were getting a 10 count. We only got a 5 count.
Yeah.
So I've been caught a little bit off guard already by our producer extraordinaire. But we're starting off the show hot. We have to start off the show hot because this event is the biggest event in movie trivia Schmoedown history. And the main event is perhaps the biggest matchup we have ever seen. It's fitting and it's ironic and coincidental and all those words that this is the third spectacular because just like in the Pontiac Silverdome, brother, we saw Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the main event where the Hulkster finally body slammed the undefeated Andre to regain or recapture or retain his WWF championship. And now we're going to see two giants go at it again. The irresistible force meeting the immovable object. You're going to see big-time Ethan Irwin, the man I dubbed the human Amazon Alexa, versus the first ballot Hall of Famer for the movie trivia Schmoedown, the outlaw, the champ, John Roca. And John Roca joins us on the show right now. Outlaw Nation. Outlaw, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show, and I appreciate First Ballot Hall of Famer. That's absolutely right. Absolutely, you can't even build a Hall of Fame
I think
without an entire wing to the Outlaw. That's for sure.
You are the Ric Flair. I really think that you are the Ric Flair of the Schmoedown. Do you think that's an apropos comparison?
I'm the Ric Flair, the Hulk Hogan, the Rock, the Stone Cold, the Triple H, and now the Becky Lynch of the Schmoedown.
Ooh.
Absolutely, all in one.
Woo! Roca's talking real spicy.
I knew like 3/4 of those names, so I feel pretty good.
Frank's
just go back to studying Back to the Future's trivia there, Janisch.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a funny comment.
I mean, I did
Roca.
know Fruit of the Loom, so
No one remember that triple threat, Brad. Keep it down.
So anyway, okay, Roca, we're days away. We're 2 days away from the Spectacular 3 big championship match. You're going against a man who's probably a shoe-in for the Rookie of the Year in Ethan Irwin. How do you feel going into this match?
Well, listen, I tackled one beast already and defeated him to bring the title back around my waist. That's William the Beast Viviani, growl, growl. And now I've got to tackle another beast that they've lined up here, this potential Rookie of the Year. I don't know, maybe Mara is the only other person you could really have a case against Ethan Irwin for Rookie of the Year. And this man is just ripped through that tournament like nobody's business. I saw most of those matches. I felt like Tony Burton in Apollo for Apollo watching Sylvester, watching Rocky. Like he's like, this man just keeps coming after you, and the thing is, you can't put him away easily. And he TKO'd Dan Murrell. He beat Chance on a questionable 5-pointer, and then he took all the hits that Clark Wolfe could deliver and came out on top still in that fight with a great final match of that tournament. So I will say right now, this may be the greatest challenge, the greatest player I've ever faced in the Schmoedown, and that's including the greatest of all time, Dan Murrell.
And John, real quick, you were one word away from facing Clark in the final of, and you've talked about it before, like you've never faced Clark. You both want to see it happen. You were one word away from that happening. Mm-hmm. Were you there that day when that match happened?
Yeah, well, I had a doctor's appointment earlier in the day, but then I rolled in for the last 2 rounds of that match. So I didn't watch the first 3 rounds, but I got to catch the last 2 rounds. And there was a lot of controversy going around in that match with some of the way it all went down. And it was really like, these tight matches, people's nerves are on edge and they're afraid. And so it goes down that way. But those are things you have to overcome and find a way through. And Lord knows I've fallen victim to them myself. And people have fallen victim to them against me. So it was an incredible match to watch. And I will say that both of them would have been worthy, obviously, for the title shot. So the way it went down, to have it be the Rookie come out of it was pretty surprising for me because he'd never been in a 5-round match. I think before he faced Clark, he'd never been in a 5-round match. So to see the way he navigated it, you had to give him a lot of credit to step up because a lot of people, kind of get overwhelmed in that moment the first time to go into a 5-round match. But all credit to Clark. Clark fought her heart out and it was just one word away. And she knew the title. She just missed one of the words there, and she knew exactly what movie was being referenced. And so what can you do in that moment? Sometimes, I'm one letter away from beating Sam Levine. There's an alternate Spider-Verse universe where Sam Levine has never becomes the tag team champion or the singles champion because I say Lena Headey instead of Lena Headley.
Yeah.
And so it's always those little things that make the difference between a championship or not a championship.
And you gotta just let those go, right? I mean, after the match.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, Brad.
Easy. It's easy.
Yeah, right.
Well, let me get your reaction to this. We had Mark Andreyko on the show last week,
Android.
and I asked him about this match, this championship match between you and Ethan Irwin. I said, you talk about how Ethan versus Clark was a clash in styles. What do you think about the styles between John Roca and Ethan Irwin? And he said you have one competitor in Ethan Irwin who's calm, cool, and collected, and then on the other side you have John Roca. Yeah. How do you respond to that? Do you feel like that's a fair criticism? Do you think that sometimes your passion is also your greatest strength and weakness at times?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think that goes for everybody. What is your greatest strength can also be your greatest weakness. And for me, there's no way I have 3 titles around my belt if I wasn't passionate about the Schmoedown, passionate about studying, and passionate about competing to win those belts. People can criticize me who've never actually worn a belt, like Mark Andreyko, about how I handle my business and get into situations and win these titles. But, if you've never won one, then you're just sitting on the outside talking a bunch of smack that I don't even need to listen to. But Ethan Irwin is, once again, he's a quiet competitor. Those ones can sometimes mess with me. Mark Ellis was the same way. If you recall that Schmoedown tournament final against him, I couldn't get under his skin. I couldn't find my way under his skin, and he ended up taking care of me. But, the passion is what gets me there. The passion sometimes is what costs me belts or, leads to some embarrassing moments. Like that when I flipped out after the tag team match with, although I felt it was correct when I flipped out of the tag team match with Team KO with Chance and Kalinowski there, I felt we were right to be upset about it. But, those are the things that carry me to belts. So you can criticize, but you can't criticize the results.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You are the champ. You are the reigning champ right now. So what is your training regimen been? I know you're somebody who takes it seriously.
I do.
You study. Is Lady Outlaw helping out? What's been going on?
Yeah. Listen, the Lady Outlaw has been incredible for this one, even more so than for Bibiani. She came up with a study plan for me per day. She went and found 10 movie quizzes per day. So every day I've been taking 10 movie quizzes on an Excel spreadsheet schedule that she has me on. And we share the document. So if I haven't clicked on the link, I get the text, or I get if the day.
That is incredible.
If it goes Tuesday into Wednesday and I haven't clicked all 10 links on the Tuesday, I get a text Wednesday morning going, I think you need some work. You have some more work to do.
Whew.
So
she wants a winner.
She's you know what I'm saying? She's my Mickey.
Yeah.
She's my Mickey to my Rocky, man. She's an incredible trainer in that way. And we've really trained harder for Ethan than we even did for Bibbs, and I trained harder for Bibbs than I trained for anybody before. So it's a lot of work.
Well, yeah, it's a big match. Now before we get you out of here, because I know you got to study. You have at least 9 more quizzes to go today.
Yeah, she's looking at me right now.
Let's say that 2018, the Schmoedown season ended today. There's no spectacular. Let's say it ended right now. When you look back, what do you think is aside from winning the championship, what is your most memorable moment from the 2018 season?
Well, I think the 5 Horsemen coming out in that live event. I don't think anything. I would be hard pressed to believe anything will top that in the future at any other live event. People didn't see it coming. People had wanted us to put the Horsemen back together. There've been a lot of conversations about it, and to come out with 2 former champions, 2-time champions, bringing them out of retirement, doing the Horsemen. I think that moment couldn't be any bigger. And it's certainly, the fans went insane online, and they certainly went insane inside the auditorium. So that was maybe the number one thing or memory of the year, aside from the championship. But I would be hard pressed not to say kicking the crap out of both Team Action guys was a lot of fun too.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, well, that's always a fun one. And top that, a great win as well. I always go back to that match. It's one of my favorite ones I've seen this season. Just such a great match. Y'all set a record. I mean, the whole 9 yards. It was great. Frank, do you have anything else you want to ask the Outlaw?
I would just like to know, in all your I guess, years doing the Schmoedown, and you've seen the evolution of this game from basically when you started in 2015 at the AfterBuzz Studios to where it is now, and Christian has been teasing the fan base about upcoming changes for next year, which will be revealed at the end of the third video on Friday at the end of Spectacular. Without giving anything away, obviously, we asked Mark Andreyko this. How do you feel about the changes that are coming next year? Are you optimistic? Are you a little worried? What is your mindset about what Christian wants to do in the future without giving anything away?
Well, here's what I'll say. Christian takes a lot of guff online sometimes with people who are armchair quarterbacks about the Schmoedown. You should do this, you should do that, you should have done this, you should have done that. But every year we expand, every year it's more successful, every year more fans come aboard, every year more people want to play and be a part of it. And in fact, I got confronted by a couple of dudes at a recent screening after I went to see Into the Spider-Verse. These two guys walked up to me like, "Oh, we're big fans of the Outlaw, big fans of the Outlaw. We love the Schmoedown." And the guy goes, "I could take you on. I should take it. What do I got to do to get on the Schmoedown and take you on? Like, I want to take you on." So you get even people on the street who want to jump into this arena and take part in it. And why is that? It's because you give a product that people enjoy watching, and people enjoy watching the competitors compete. So it's an attractive product. And if anything, Kristen's track record of success with it gives me faith that whatever he changes he's going to do in 2019 will be positive changes for the Schmoedown overall and for the league. So I'm excited, and I hope it all works out, and we become even bigger, because this is a thing that should be on a television network. I've seen game shows that are terrible and are on like primetime networks that would be nowhere near as great as the Schmoedown is, with all the drama and the contestants and the back and forth and the drama. I mean, not drama, but the storylines and the competitors and the real life blurring between the characters and the real life issues that go on between people. Because I hate to break it to you, maybe people don't want to believe this. We're not all one big happy family. We're all competitors thrown into a pit. We all want to wear that belt. And, everyone is politicking or angling for more opportunities or for more screen time or to be seen on the programs more, or be even a more powerful voice on the programs for the direction of the show even. So that
sounds like a show in and of itself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, trust me.
Definitely someday a show.
Let me tell you something. I'm writing a book. When I retire, I'm writing a book about the Schmoedown. There's no lie.
That's amazing.
I've never signed anything that says I can't talk about it or write about it. So I'm going to be able to. I'm definitely
expect something on your desk tomorrow morning.
Yeah, right. Tomorrow, Christian. That's right. NDA.
Hey, John. We need to talk.
Like Vince, you can't say anything. Well, we'll see. Can I go back to real quick to what you said, Brad, about the Take That match? Top That match. I'll tell you something. That is the greatest, the most dialed in Team Top 10 has ever been for any match ever. Like, Matt and I were so on our game in that match. We were so simpatico in that match. That, I think, is the greatest match we've ever played as a team. And so I appreciate you saying that's one of your favorites.
You and Matt were the first teammates to have perfect rounds in the same match. So you guys have that record.
Yeah. Oh, another record for the Outlaw.
That's right.
Another one. Just put it on the trophy case over there, Outlaw. Well, we appreciate you. You have a big match. I know the missus wants to quiz you. I know you probably have to go to dinner. You have like 17 million shows to host tomorrow.
Yes, true.
You're going to be very busy, man. You're going to be very busy, man. I just want one more question, non-Schmoedown related, and you don't have to go into a long thing about it. No long diatribe. Just thumbs up, thumbs down. How you feeling about the live action Aladdin?
I would say I'm cautiously optimistic.
Optimistic.
I hate that EW cover, that's for sure.
Oh, it is brutal.
Well, I don't think many people liked it. But I appreciate John Roca's honesty. The Outlaw is competing against big-time Ethan Irwin in the main event, brother, of the Schmoedown Spectacular 3. He is the singles champion. He is the Outlaw, John Roca. John, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys, and thanks for everything you do on the Schmoedown Rundown. It's one of my favorite shows, and I love coming on. Thanks for having me on. And Ethan, hey, big time. Just like Carlito said in Carlito's Way, you think you're big time? You're going to effing die big time. There's no way he's taking that belt off of me.
Ooh, there you go. Big words from the Outlaw, John Roca at the Roca Says on Twitter. Thanks, John.
Thanks a lot,
guys.
Well, that was the champ right there, man. That's the champ. And we might as well discuss the championship. Oh, I have stuff falling over here. We might as well discuss the championship match while we're on it. We might as well go right to the main event. Frank, how do you see this thing playing out?
This one's tough because I am a big Outlaw fan, and my heart says one thing, my mind says another. And I'm looking at the numbers here for the season. This is just for the 2018 season. John has been 4-1 with 2 TKOs. He's answered 73% of his questions. He's 3 for 6 in steals, and he's earned nearly almost 72% of his points available to him. And that's a great stat line for anyone in the Schmoedown. A lot of people in this game would be envious of this stat line. But then you look at Ethan Irwin this year, the rookie. He's 6-1 at this point with 2 TKOs. He's answering 82% of his questions. That's like 9% better than 82%. Yeah, and that's actually, believe it or not, second best accuracy rate of all time. That's just behind Rachel, which she's up like at 83 something. Still, it is crazy good. And Ethan's been earning 79% of his available points to him. The man is a machine. He has like 1 or 2 misses in the second round all year. He's gone to multiple choice like once or twice. He is super deadly in that second round. And even though it's a 5-round match, you can really solidify your play in that second round, and that's what I think could happen with Ethan. He's actually not above what's the word? He's not above and beyond most competitors in the first round. He's pretty much average, maybe a little bit above, where he averaged about 6 points. And he's only had a perfect round once this season, even though he's super knowledgeable, right? So, but John, he's got to keep pace with him as much as he can until we get to that speed round, because that's where Ethan, I probably think, is most vulnerable. We saw that in his match with Clark. She came back, was able to get a lead on him. So if John can get to the speed round, and take advantage of that, he can put himself in a real good spot to keep the belt.
I agree with you. I think that here's the thing is sometimes you want that emotional player when you're on the court. You want somebody who you want somebody like Mike. You want somebody like LeBron. You want somebody like even a Draymond Green or anyone of that ilk who is emotionally motivated. And I think that's we talked about it being his biggest weakness a little bit.
You want to Lance Stevenson?
I don't want to Lance. I don't want to blow it in my ear. No, I don't want that. But, we talk about it being his biggest weakness, but it is his biggest strength, too. John Roca putting his heart and soul into the game is what's gotten into this position. And I always think that if you have that, emotional reserve that you can tap into, it's almost like an adrenaline, that you can just tap into, an adrenaline rush, and then you kind of have this surge of knowledge, and you have this surge of energy and this surge of ability. And I think that that's what John Roca can do. He's one of those guys, too, that even if he doesn't know a category that well, we've seen him pull answers out of the hat, out of the Outlaw's hat, better than a lot of people. And I think Ethan, we've seen, if he doesn't know the answer or he's not aware of the category, he's one of those guys who, hey, I know what I know. I don't know what I don't know, right? And he's not one who's going to go out and try to, for what would you say his worst category has been?
I mean, probably animated.
Animated, right?
Yeah.
He's not one who's just going to go through like the litany of Disney films, from the Black Cauldron on, right? He's just going to say, well, I don't know that. Maybe I'll get the next question. So I think that's kind of where he and John Roca differ in style. Obviously, there's an emotional difference, but there's also a strategic difference where Ethan Irwin relies on the knowledge that he's acquired throughout his years in Hollywood around the business and watching films. And John Roca says, I'm going to stretch the muscle. I either use it or I lose it. And that's why I picked John Roca to win this match. I don't know what the odds are. I would assume they're with the champion. But if there's ever been a pick'em match for a Schmoedown championship, I think this is the biggest pick'em fight we've ever had.
Well, it would be, except there's another match in this card that I think is, and we'll get to that and I'll say that when we do. But
I mean, for the singles championship.
Oh, for a singles championship? Yeah, probably. Yeah, this one is. Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. Then, with just pertaining to the singles championship. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah.
I stumped.
No, I'm trying to think of another match that might be comparable because I mean, given what we know now with Levine, I mean that Dan Murrell Levine collision match, that bonus match we got, you could say one way or the other, but that's hindsight's 2020, knowing how Sam played. But I think actually one match that gets overlooked a lot, and it was a lot closer than I think people might remember, was when Dan Murrell faced Mark Ellis at the first Spectacular. Mark Ellis was the first player to really truly challenge him early on in the Schmoedown, and Mark Ellis took Dan Murrell to the limit, and yes, Dan Murrell came out on top, but I think that one, a lot of people were kind of sleeping on the ability of Mark Ellis, but because everyone was so hyped about Dan Murrell, he was just killing people left and right back then. So I think that one's probably close second behind this one that we're coming up on Friday.
Okay, I can agree with that. So I say let's go around the table. I mean, we're not going to really make too many predictions, but if I don't know if
because this whole card really is a pick'em, but some are closer than others.
Yeah. We're going to throw it out to the audience. Tweet us at SD Rundown. If there's a live poll up, which I believe there might be, or there might be momentarily, make sure you participate in that live poll here on Collider Podcast, or comment in the comment section below this video. Let us know who you think is going to win the main event. Big time Ethan Irwin or the Outlaw, the champ, John Roca. Now, Frank, I say let's go back up to the top here. Let's start at the top of the card. Yeah. Because I'm excited. We have the Commissioner Bowl. Last year, the Manager Bowl almost stole the show. A lot of people enjoyed the Manager. People thought this was a very fun match. It was kind of unpredictable. You didn't know who was going to win. Emma Fyfe came out on top, beating Tom Dagnino on the last question, if memory serves me correctly. This time, it's for a little bit bigger than just bragging rights. It's for the control, essentially, of the movie Trivia Schmoedown. You have the creator, the founder, the architect, and Christian Darth Harloff. You have Thad Williams, who's been the interim, somewhat permanent commissioner for the last year. You have Tom Dagnino. Just going to throw that one out there. And Emma Fyfe. Emma Fyfe, who a lot of people can say has a strong case for Manager of the Year. Her or Tom Dagnino. One of the two will emerge as Manager of the Year. Maybe, I don't know. You know what? I say that. But Jay Washington, depending on how this turns out, this spectacular turns out, he could be in the running as well. But what do you think about the Commissioner Bowl, Frank Janisch? What do you think? How are you feeling about it?
I was decently excited at first when it was going to be Thad and Christian. I was like, oh, that's great. We're finally getting this match that I think I forget exactly when in time Christian kind of challenged Thad to a one-on-one match for the commissionership, and that never really
was after Spectacular.
Is it that soon after?
It was very I know.
Quickly. Yeah, because I know, in fact, he did make that, and then nothing really ever came of it, and then we got this. The whole year goes by, and then we'll get the announcement that it's going to happen, but then we tack on Emma and Dagnino, and Dagnino. Look, if you loved his cutscenes so far this year, I mean, what do you think we're going to get when he's at the table? Sitting across from Christian, because every time Dagnino's come out with Who's the Boss or the Patriots or with whoever, when he came out with the Lions, then maybe I think Christian was there at the desk, there's always some sort of quick exchange between Dagnino and Christian, and it's hilarious. So now we're going to get a 3-round match with them two at the desk. It should be entertaining as hell. And that's to take nothing away from Emma and Thad, because I think Thad and Christian are going to have some banter. Emma and Dagnino. Maybe Emma going after Thad. And look, this match is Christian's to lose. I think everyone knows that. He's a former champ in teams and in singles. And he's going up against Finstock.
Come on now. Time off. It's a competitor's worst enemy.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either. Now, let me ask you this question. Who would be the most fun to have as the commissioner for the next year?
We all know. It's got to be.
Tell the people, who do you think?
Bobby Gucci.
Bobby Gucci, man.
Actually.
Bobby Gucci, man.
Bobby Gucci, man. We got to... I'm so confused what to do with all these names he has, because every time he's in a scene or in a match, he's referred to sometimes by all three names in the same setting. I don't know what we do, because I was looking at like the numbers for like Finstock's record, and then there's Dagnino's record when Finstock was banned, so he was Dagnino. I don't know if we're combining those records. We're keeping them split. I am so confused. Yeah, but like now when we hear like here comes Finstock, oh, Dagnino said something crazy, and we say that in the same match, that gets me confused. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, but I think that Finstock, as Mark Andreyko said, because Mark Andreyko, competed as Finstock one time. I don't know if you know this. This happened. And,
that was him? Oh my gosh.
That was him.
Wow.
I know the mask can be very, very misleading.
Unreal.
But it was Mark Andreyko. So I think that Bobby Gucci though winning would be very fun. But a part of me would like to see Christian regain control. And just and lead back the captain's wheel, if you will. And steer us back and sail us to new waters and center the ship. Thank you. I couldn't get that out. I couldn't get that analogy out. I was having major issues. But I think that's kind of where I'm leaning toward. Let's hear from our producer, Chris Clark. What are you excited for about this Commissioner Bowl?
Oh, totally. I'm excited so much for look, this is going to be the I think I said this on last episode. It's going to be the pinnacle for the story moving forward for next season. And any which way you cut it, it will be interesting, except if Thad wins again, it's probably going to be like some sort of dictatorship storyline or something. They had to change that up. But with Emma, Christian, or Dagnino being back in charge, it's only going to be so good. I feel like, though, look, Finstock, like if you watched the free-for-all, apparently Finstock and Tom are two separate people. Or maybe they're like
it's like
each other. I don't know what the continuity is with that. But either way you cut it, Finstock winning will just be pure, unadulterated gold.
It's really Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask. Is really what we're looking at.
Yeah,
that's what we're seeing. They're two different people. They don't know what they're doing. What else? What's next? What's going to be next, Frank? That we're going to be able to see
the next match.
Yes.
Oh, this is my most anticipated match of the entire
next
card.
Match. What the hell do you think I meant? The next month? The next day? Wait, the next match, Frank. Tell me the next match.
Well, I don't know if you're saying what's next if Dagnino wins or what's next if whoever wins. But anyways, we're past that. Shire Wolves and Who's the Boss.
Damn it, I'm mad at it. No, I'm kidding. Go
ahead. Shire Wolves and Who's the Boss. This is definitely my most anticipated match of Spectacular.
Absolutely.
And it might even be a little bit more anticipated than I was for the second Patriots Above the Line match. I was pretty hyped for that one. I think I might be more hyped for this one, and it's for different reasons. Because, look, the Shire Wolves are the champions. They are legit champions. I don't care what anyone says. They are legit champions. I don't care who they faced, what the skill level was, how long the team was in, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They are the champions. They are good. They are very good. Their numbers do not lie. Their numbers stack up just as good, if not even better in certain categories than Above the Line's 4-0 run in the tournament last year. And you compare that to what Shire Wolves did, 4-0 right now, they're almost arguably just as good or better. Who's the Boss has done pretty much the same thing that Above the Line did last year, and is very comparable to what the Shire Wolves did in their first four matches this year, going 4-0. These two teams, Shire Wolves and Above the Line, are destined to be top 3 teams of all time when it's all said and done. And we're getting the first match, which I think could be of the new trilogy coming up in the next couple seasons or months or whatever it is between these two teams. I think this is just the first of 3 we'll see between them. And I'm super hyped because Shire Wolves, I think they win this, they can shut up everybody who said they weren't legit champions, who were paper champions. They had an easy road because Who's the Boss is no joke. Everyone gets that. And I understand it's about part of it is about the quality of your opponent and your wins. But also you got to look at just how well Shire Wolves have played. I mean, they're like they're answering 82% of their questions. Same thing with Who's the Boss. So yeah, is it a tougher test? Sure. But if the Shire Wolves play their game and Who's the Boss plays their game, this is a toss-up. This is really a toss-up, and this is going to be intense.
Or would you say, if you were to gauge the internet's pulse here, would you say that Who's the Boss is actually the favorite against the champions?
Are they? That's an interesting question because I was looking at the numbers for Who's the Boss versus the Harris Brothers, and that was for the tournament title, and that was by far the easiest match for Who's the Boss. Now, a lot of people pointed towards Shire Wolves winning the title against Sick in the Head, saying that was a first-time team. What were they doing? Sick in the Head actually fared better in that 5-round match than the Harris Brothers performed against Who's the Boss. But then you look at the 3 other previous matches for Who's the Boss, the competition was a little bit stiffer than what the Shire Wolves had to go up against, although performances were pretty much the same for Shire Wolves and Who's the Boss. If you want to say Who's the Boss is the favorite, then I just think that's because you're not a fan of the Shire Wolves, and that's fine. You don't have to be. I'm not saying you have to be, but if you're saying that, then I think that's the only reason why. It's because you're a fan of them, and I'm not, upset that someone would think that way or they shouldn't think that way. Because again, this is such a toss up that I think whoever's your favorite team personally as a fan, I think that's who's the favorite, but this is so evenly matched. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the comments here on our YouTube live chat. Scourge_77. The Boss will win with 3 exclamation points, which means he means business. Also, the cool guy says, I want Who's the Boss, but I feel like the Shire Wolves will edge them out. Just edge them out. And then Entertainment 720 wants to know if anybody knows.
Parks and Recs reference? Entertainment 720. Nice.
Yes. Anybody knows if Ethan Irwin is training? LOL. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he works for a movie studio. That's his training. I mean, I don't think that guy has a training. He like you said, he's the human Alexa.
He is. He definitely is the human
Brad,
Amazon Alexa. Yeah.
What do you think about this match between Shire Wolves and Who's the Boss?
I mean, I talked about top that and top 10 being my favorite team match of this year, and it still is. This one has potential, though, man. This one has a lot. There's a lot of sparks here. To me, Ben the Boss Bateman has been the unsung hero of the movie trivia Schmoedown this year, competing both in teams and in singles, having entertaining segments, a entertaining character, somebody who you definitely want to boo, or if you're someone on the opposite side of the field that you love the heels, you can definitely cheer this man. He gives you everything that you want from his character. So from a character standpoint and a competitor standpoint, he's given me everything this year. I would love for him to end his year with a championship around his waist. Do you know how amazing that would be of a year Ben the Boss Bateman would have if he were to go out there and win a championship at the biggest event? He is still, as good as he is and as highly regarded as he is, at least by me and some other people in the league and around the league, he hasn't won a title. No championship. No belts. He has no belt. His pants are falling off of him because he has no belt around his waist. So I would like to see that. But the Shire Wolves, man, sometimes there's a team that comes together and there's a great foundation there, right? There's a great foundation. There's a championship foundation with these individual players. Think about Clark Wolfe being like, Steph Curry. She's talented, man. She's talented. She can hit that step back 30-footer. 40 from the parking lot 3, right? And you're like, whoa, man! Or she can, dribble with the best of them, make you dance a little bit, and drive it in for that easy layup. Great, and you know what? Steph Curry by himself, championship caliber player. But then when Kevin Durant joins the Warriors, it's like, hey, let's just win all the championships forever. Why don't we just do that? Why don't we do that? And I think that's what he and Rachel. Or she and Rachel have been, and what he and Steph are. I think that it's just like, hey, let's just win everything. Why not? Let's just win the championship and let's continue to defend it until forever. Because I don't think you're going to catch the Shire Wolf slip. I really don't. As great as Mark Riley is, and as great of a champion as he has been in the movie Trivia Schmoedown, 2-time champ, as great as a future champion the Ben the Boss Bateman is, I think that Clark Wolfe and Rachel Cushing both wanted a title so bad, and they won it, and they're not letting it go. They're not going to let it go, and they're not going to let it happen. And under the expert tutelage of Emma Fyffe, I think Shire Wolf, man, that's a tough task for anybody. It's a very tough task for anybody.
It really is. And one quick note, too, if you want to hear a little bit more about their thoughts, I know Jacob London did an interview with the Shire Wolves for TriviaSD.com. I read that. That was actually some pretty good stuff. And they get into some other outside stuff in regards to social media and stuff, the kind of backlash they face there. They talk about that and their mindset going into who's the boss. It's a really good read. That interview, it's really good. So if you haven't checked it out, I really do suggest you go read that and get a little bit more of their mindset going into the match against Who's the Boss.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they arrive on the day, because that's the biggest thing, man. It's the biggest thing is how you arrive on the day of. You can do all the prep, you can be ready, you can think that you're there, but then you don't sleep well at night. You stub your toe when you get out of bed that morning. You forget to brush your teeth and feel like your mouth is wearing a sweater. There's all kinds of things that could occur on the day of. So how do you walk into the arena?
You say walk into the arena. It reminds me like when you're watching like the pre-game shows and you see and they cut to the camera with LeBron walking in or Russell walking in and they got their I want to see like shots of that for like spectacular, like here they come walking in, and how they come into the studio that day, and you pop up some info on the bottom, that'd be it gives a more of a sports, pregame feel. Maybe that's next season, but that just kind of popped in my head. That'd be kind of cool.
Now, while we're talking about Clark, we might as well talk about it, man. You might as well talk about Clark Wolfe, Dan Murrell, the GOAT, the dangerous one, the leader of the new Murrell Order, Dan Murrell against Clark Wolfe. This is a match, man. And, Clark Wolfe pulling double duty. How is that going to affect her? Now, do we know which match is coming first? Do we know?
Yeah, so it was released on TriviaSD.com, actually. I think it was yesterday or the day before. The order of the match and which videos they'll be in. So video 1 will obviously have the pre-show, then the Commissioner Bowl, and then it'll end with Shire Wolves Who's the Boss. That's video 1. Video 2 will start with the Star Wars match and conclude with the number one contenders match with Clark Wolfe, Dan Murrell, and then the last video will have Inner Geekdom title match and then the singles title match. So that's the order.
Spicy. So she's gonna have a 1 match break.
Yeah,
and it's a championship match, so we're gonna have 5 rounds of that Star Wars match. So she's gonna have a little bit of time to catch her breath. But going from a 5-rounder to trying to defend your championships into a singles match with one of the greatest competitors of all time. Even though he's been rocky this year, man. I mean, even though he's been a little bit Jordan with the 4-5 on, he's still an elite player. And I think just for the fatigue of Clark Wolfe, I think coming after that match, I gotta think that Dan Murrell is probably the favorite going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Jordan wearing 45. He was certainly wearing that against Andrew Guy, but he put on number 23 for Mark Andreyko when you went 100% correct. Yeah. But then I guess he put on 45 for the Irwin match. So maybe this match he's putting on
just playing for the Wizards then, actually.
Right.
He wasn't even at the Bulls anymore.
Right. So it's, and I think Christian and Mark talked about it in their preview about Clark playing in this match, coming off a 5-round title match against Who's the Boss. Against Who's the Boss. Like, that's going to be no joke. That's going to be highly intense. And yeah, she gets a 1-match break here, which is probably about an hour, a break there. So this is tough, especially if the Shire Wolves win. I think it kind of relaxes probably Clark. The I think pressure comes off a little bit, because she's probably accomplished the bigger test, which is defend a title. And now she's going into a number 1 contenders match, and it's to go play for the title in New York, and that's a huge prize in and of itself. Don't get me wrong, but I think if she were to lose the Shire Wolves match, then have to play Dan, what kind of headspace are you in? What's your confidence like? What, are you playing tight? Are you going to be playing too aggressive? A lot of things can alter there with a loss in your first match in such a high stress match against Who's the Boss. And if she wins, though, coming into this match, it could really make things calmer for her, which I think then gives her the edge, because now it's not as important. I don't want to say it's not as important, but it's like, look, I'm a team champ, and there'll be next year. And if I don't win this one, I know I'm good. I know I've had a great year. So she can pretty much play the way she's been playing actually this whole tournament, where she thinks she's going to lose and she ends up winning, So I could definitely see that situation here happening, but it is Dan Murrell. He is I'll say it, the second greatest player of all time. And he can throw up 100% accurate match on you like that, and it can come out of nowhere, and then next thing you know it, your season's over. So I would favor Dan Murrell in this match.
Well, you bring up a lot of great points, Frank. So, but I agree with most of them. And it seems like the chat is agreeing that Clark will probably be drained. But I don't know. Here's the thing: you win that championship, you're riding that high. You might want to go for 2-0, man. You might want to. I don't know. I really think I can boost. Yeah, that's why it's this spectacular more than any other one has just been so hard to call anything, because everything it's really a flip of a coin.
Look at what happened for Sam Levine last year. Loses the team match, but then wins the singles title, his second match. Albeit that was against Christian Harloff, who has been drained from calling the matches all day, and plays that match. So while it's not a fair comparison, it is, but it isn't. So we just really have no way of telling someone's mindset,
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's going to depend on day of. Speaking of matches from last year, the Star Wars Iron Man match, one of the classic matches in movie trivia Schmoedown history. Since then, the Star Wars division has been a little up and down as far as interest has been. I see you're wearing the Star Wars hoodie. Alex Damon, the champ, going against Kenny Ken Knapsack. Kylo Ken. Do you think that whoever walks out of the spectacular as the Star Wars champion, do you think that they're the last Star Wars champion?
No. And I say that because, what's his name? Andrew De La Manta, I think his name is. I think I mispronounced that wrong. Christian picked him up for the Star Wars League. So that's going to be happening next year. So I think we'll at least have one more title match.
Okay. So they're still out there. But here's the thing. Who is the Star Wars champion in 2019? Ken Knapsack had that championship taken away from him in a very, very tightly contested match. And then now you got Alex Damon, who's he's been a buzzsaw, man. He's been a Star Wars buzzsaw. I would make a Star Wars reference, but I would have to have watched the movies more than twice.
Let me give you some numbers here for Alex Damon. He's answered 54 of 60 questions. He's missed 6 questions in his 3 matches he's been. That's 90% correct if you're doing the math. Ken Knapsack in his three matches, he's answered, and this is including the Iron Man match too. So he's answered 96 of 117 questions. That's 82% correct. Still, I mean that
both
is phenomenal. Phenomenal, especially when you take in consideration that Ken was in an Iron Man match. So that's where a lot of the numbers jump for him there. But Alex Damon, this guy is just, the numbers say so. The eye test says so. This guy is just on another level. He does this for a living. Ken, he's on Jedi Council. He does his own podcast with Scrimshaw and Landa. And so he's in that world almost just as much as Alex, but man, Alex, Ken has said it. He uses Alex's videos from his channel to study. Like, you're studying off the guy you're trying to beat.
Right.
That's try and wrap your head around that.
It's like a paradox.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I this is probably actually, and this is no disrespect to Ken, but this is probably the easiest match to predict, in my opinion, that Alex will still retain the belt at the end of this match.
I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about the Star Wars.
Sure,
I think
you don't.
I think that Ken has been, you said 80+%. That's pretty good. He's had more questions. He's been more battle tested than Alex Damon. Has more experience in the movie trivia Schmoedown. He has experience on the big stage. I think for those reasons you can't count him out wholly. Alex Damon definitely sounds very, very knowledgeable, and we know that he's very knowledgeable when it comes to the movie trivia Schmoedown, especially in Star Wars. Or we know that he's knowledgeable in Star Wars. It doesn't have to be trivia, just Star Wars. He's knowledgeable. So I don't want to count Ken out. I might go with the underdog here. I'm going to pick Ken. I'm picking Ken.
He'll definitely,
I think he wants that championship.
He'll definitely make it a match. It's not going to be Bruce Green level type stuff. That is not happening with Ken Knapsack, so we can at least be grateful for that. But yeah, Ken will definitely make it a match. I think he can certainly make it interesting. But and I'm not saying Alex Damon's going to win easily, or comfortably. But I still think Damon will come out on top.
Yeah. Now, before we get to our last, I believe this is our last match we're about to discuss. I think so.
Yeah.
It's our last match. Before we get to that, I was just tweeted something on Twitter. And we're live here, guys, and I can't help to bring it up. It's not Schmoedown related. So guys, just stay with me for a second. We asked John Roca about how he felt about the live action Aladdin film, right? What does he think? Early prognosis, right? What does he think is going to happen? He said he's cautiously optimistic. But brother, I just found this. There was a live stage production. It looks like it had to be in the late 90s, film for television, and this is really a whole new world. This is really a whole new world.
Uh-oh.
It is Bret the Hitman Hart as
I
the
did
genie.
see. I saw this picture.
As the genie. It's a whole video. He's doing a whole promo.
Yeah.
For the Aladdin stage show. This looks awful. This looks so terrible. Look at that. Why is Bret Hart the genie? And why are they in a wrestling ring?
Oh, wow.
And why is he dropping the sharpshooter on stage? This makes no sense. Can anybody in internet land, find me a link to this whole thing? Please find me a link to this, because this looks so terribly awful. I have to see it. What do you think, though, Janisch? What do you think about the Aladdin movie? Are we excited about it? How'd you feel about Will Smith?
I was excited when they announced it, and then the EW cover really brought down my enthusiasm for it. But then I've since learned that the Will Smith we see in that picture is his human form, so he's still going to be blue.
Yes.
So that's what I've heard. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but that's what I think.
I don't know if that's confirmed. I've heard that he's still going to be blue, and he's still going to be. And he's going to be
I think it was
confirmed.
Yeah, I think that was still. I think it was actually confirmed on Will Smith's Instagram too. I haven't looked. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be blue for most of the movie, but his look, if you've gone to the Broadway version, that's how the genie is. He's African American with a blue suit, and he kind of like sound. They do it like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas, to do it scat like. So I don't know if that's what they're going to go for, but I think it's a reference to the Broadway show, and people are kind of overreacting a little bit.
Yeah, because not a lot of people go see that play, probably.
Yeah, probably not.
Or recently. Well, no, it's touring right now. I know that.
Yeah, it's in Broadway still.
Yeah, it's on Broadway right now. But I'm excited because Aladdin is my favorite Disney movie of all time. I'm excited about this one. I don't think they've missed. Maybe Maleficent, but I really don't think they've missed on the live action version of their Disney films. And Naomi Scott, big fan. Big fan. I do like the Arabic Marty McFly look that Aladdin has going on.
I saw who tweeted that out, but I was like, oh, that is so. I can't not see that anymore.
Oh, he's for sure Arabic Marty McFly, 100%. And I love it. Here's the thing. My girlfriend's Middle Eastern. I'm off into the Arabic world. So Arabian Nights, the song holds true. I'm excited. I'm excited for Aladdin. Now let's talk about this last match. I didn't expect for this one to be the last one we discussed, but we're talking about some geeky stuff, man. We're talking about Aladdin. We're worried if Will Smith's going to be blue or not. It doesn't get more geeky than that. And when you get geeky, you got to talk inner geekdom. You have to talk about Mara Kanopik, who we talked about with John Roca as a potential rookie of the year. I think that it all holds. I think really her case and Ethan Irwin's case depend on how this event turns out, or if they are the rookie of the year. Mara Kanopik, though, been unstoppable in the league this year in Inner Geekdom. She's the champ. She's going against Mike Kalinowski, who really didn't earn this shot. If you want to be honest about it, didn't really earn this shot, but he has knockout potential in Inner Geekdom. How do you see this thing playing out, Frank?
Look, you know that I have never been on the level of most fans out there of Mara, where they really elevated her from the very beginning.
Yeah,
I was like,
been a hater.
Yeah, I've never been a hater. I've been cautiously tempering my expectations, and that's because I've been looking. You look at her numbers for every match she plays. It's nothing that blows you out of the water, but she gets the job done, and you can't argue with those results. And so, I guess the pessimist in me has been kind of waiting for the waterfall to finally come crashing down, and I think it has a very high probability that it's going to come crashing down on Ad Spectacular, because for this simple fact that whether or not Kalinowski deserves the shot or not, is that if Kalinowski gets any other 5-pointer than the one he got against Mara, he goes and plays Jason Inman for the title. He clearly dominated that tournament in his play. When I look at the numbers for him this year, all right, so he's 3-1 going into this match with 2 KOs. That comes from the tournament. He's answering 85% of his questions, and he's earning 76% of his available points. You look at Mara, yes, she is 5-0. She's the current champ. She has 2 TKOs during that tournament, but she's only answering 66%. That's almost 20% less than what Kalinowski has done this year. That difference is astonishing to me, and that she's still 5-0. So I don't know what to make of it, really, but the fact that Kalinowski is what I just said, he was at 85%, Tamara's 66%, something's got to give here. Like, either Mike's got to have the worst game of his life, or Mara's got to have one of the best matches she's ever had and be way over her average by like 10, 15 percentage points, which I don't know if she can do because she hasn't really proven it play-wise. Yes, I understand she has the wins, but I just look at this and I go, man, Mike can really pull this off, and I do pick him in this match.
T-Boz, Left Eye, Chili. They said a long time ago, Frank Janisch, don't go chasing waterfalls. Because it's not going to work out. Oh, my goodness.
That's good. I like it. That's good.
Don't go doing it, because Mara, you've been a hater all season. Everybody knows that. Frank Janisch, hater. I mean, it's a very synonymous term when we discuss Mark
the Mara Haters Club,
League. Yeah. But yes, you are the leader. You are the leader. You are.
Hey. Chappelle reference.
Hey.
Chappelle reference.
Well, that's a Jay-Z reference. Okay. But I think that Mike has definitely a shot. We saw how their last match went. It was down to that crazy 5-point question that Mike Kalinowski got about Lord of the Rings or whatever that. I don't even remember.
MCU, the Iron Man.
Oh, it was MCU. Oh, yeah. Right.
The 2 droids or robots on.
Yeah.
Oh,
sucks.
Skaliski really screwed it on that one.
Skaliski, my guy. You did. You screwed him on that one. But it came down to that very tough question for Mike, and he didn't get the job done. Could he get the job done now? Yes, absolutely. He can get the job done. I just think that Mara, it's hard for me to bet against somebody undefeated, especially when they've defeated you before. But I always say this when it comes to the NFL, and it always holds true. If you're looking at an NFL schedule and you see a team, let's take the Texans. They played the Colts twice this year in the season. You're always, when you play a team twice, 9 times out of 10, you're going to split those games. One of you is going to win one. One's going to win the other. It's how it always goes. If you win the first game, your opponent learns from their mistakes. They know what you're going to pull it on them in the next game, and they're going to come out and beat you. It happens every time. So could Mike Kalinowski learn from his mistakes, know how to better strategize to beat Mark Konopik in this match? 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that Mark Konopik, when you're undefeated, it's hard for me to bet against you. That's why I see Mark Konopik retaining her Inner Geekdom championship. That's how I see it, Frank.
You know, and that's fine. But when I look at Mara's numbers compared to Mike, I think Mara seems to rely more on luck going her way, more favorable spins, perhaps more favorable questions that drop in her lap, as opposed to her overall knowledge. Whereas I think Mike, I mean, he has covered all his bases so that he minimizes the bad luck factor that could come his way. Although he couldn't minimize it on that 5-pointer against Mara. So, and that's one out of like the 25 or 6 questions he faced that match. So, yeah, it is hard to doubt someone who's undefeated, you know, which is also a reason why Shire Wolves, Who's the Boss, is such a toss-up.
Why you got to bring up old stuff? Why you got to bring up old stuff? We're talking about Mara and Mike.
Sorry. But you're right. It is hard to argue with that fact. That's a fact. She's 5-0.
It's a fact.
So, yeah, when I look at the numbers for this one, they're too imbalanced for me to like just ignore it and be like and go with like my gut instinct. It's just like it's not like they're separated by like 7% or something. We're talking about like 19% difference here. That is crazy. It's crazy. So I can't ignore that.
But if I had an 89 in the class, but I lost 19%, I'd have an 80 and I'd still have a B. So we're in the same ballpark still, Frank Janisch. That's how I'm looking at it. You can't no, that's not right. My math is way off.
I was like,
wait a minute. I'm completely wrong.
Well, I just look like the biggest idiot. You wish we weren't live now.
No, I don't give a damn. I've looked like an idiot way before that. Wow, I was really wrong on that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Mark's still going to win. She's still going to win.
Okay.
Well, what are you laughing at, Chris? You don't even know what the numbers at the end of your name mean.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good one. Yeah, so shut the hell up. Know you're rolling. Shut your mouth. But I think that's all. Chris, do you have anything you want to say? What do you think? Break the tie here. Who do you see walking out Inner Geekdom champ?
Well, I mean, it's really difficult because, like, as Frank said, the stats are kind of against Mara, but even though those...
Totally.
Yeah, but she's...
Shut the hell up, Janisch. Let him talk.
Yeah, but she's undefeated. So, I mean, like, I'm mixed because I feel like something tells me if Mike wins, it could be good and better for story, which is what I would want. But, and when you go undefeated for so long, you're bound to lose. You are bound to lose. So I think Mike might have it for a hair, but don't count out Mara because she also rocks this sucker. So
Mike's too ugly to be the world champion. He's too ugly to be the world champion. The world champion should be pretty like me.
Yep.
Oh boy. Okay.
That's a Muhammad Ali quote. So we're gonna end it there, guys.
Yeah.
That has been our preview special for Spectacular 3. We're gonna be back live here on Friday, and Chris, you might want to throw it up right now because our very first guest, we don't know exactly who it's going to be yet, but we do know our very first guest, as soon as we go live, will be the winner of the main event of the singles championship, John Roca, Ethan Irwin. We are going to have the winner as our very first guest. So if you don't watch the whole thing on Friday, don't come tune in live because you will be spoiled. You will be spoiled. There's no way around it. And we're going to be live, pal. And you're going to wish that you didn't see it, but you did see it. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen on Friday. Our first guest. I'm just trying to drill it into their head, Frank. Our first guest.
For real. No, because Friday. I don't want to be the reason why someone is spoiled, you know, because I want to make sure, and the only reason we're having this person on first is because of scheduling. We couldn't get him later in the evening. So we have to have them right up top. Right? That's what I'm saying. But we have to have them right up top for scheduling reasons. So otherwise, we'd have them at the end of the match, and we wouldn't have to really, really worry about that because as Video 3 is ending is basically when we're going to be going live. So we're getting like really close in terms of them ending and us starting. So again, that match might just be wrapping up, and you come pop on here and didn't finish it, then you're gonna get spoiled one way or the other. So we just don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that's loud and clear that while the third video is ending, we will have that winner as the first guest, and that's not by design, it's just of circumstance.
Exactly. Frank, thank you for the explanation. Always appreciated. Chris Clark, thank you for the producing. Always appreciated. Thank you for watching. It is always appreciated. Everybody in the live chat, thank you. Matt, Scourge, Brian, Zach, Cool Guy, everybody who's been in the chat for the show. Rex, I appreciate all of you for watching us here on our live edition, our preview spectacular of the Spectacular 3 going down. Collider video on Friday, the 21st. There's going to be a lot of surprises. There's going to be familiar faces. Who knows? You might see one of the three of us, if not all three of us, on the show. I have no idea what's going to happen. You're going to find out, and we're going to talk about it Friday, 7 p.m. Central. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. If you're on the West Coast, it's a different time than those. So check us out then, and we appreciate you. For Frank Janisch at Frankie J29, for Chris Clark at Chris Clark 8788. Those numbers might mean something. I am Brad Gilmore on all social media at Brad Gilmore. We will see you Friday.
I gotta go catch a flight now.